what is part of my daily routine. So yeah. Even kijken. Let's see. Okay, I'm gonna show you my daily fitness grind. I heard a lot of people complaining about I'm pulling too heavy, and I'm always trying. When I speak to those people face to face, I'm always trying to explain to them that that's not what you're seeing. You're seeing the end result. I'm trying to push my limits in that video, but I'm gonna show you my daily grind. It's gonna be a long fucking ass video, and I'm gonna edit it. I'm gonna put the intro on it and the exit and outro on it, because this is gonna be a long ass video. So I'm gonna explain this first, and then you're gonna see a grind. And it's gonna be a long ass grind. So if you complain about the video being too long, people have been complaining a lot and telling me a lot. Oh, you need to lift lighter, and you need to pull more. You need to do more repetitions. That's what I do. That's what I always do. But I don't upload that. I don't record it. So that's what you want to see. Here is it. So yeah, it's gonna be a long. It's gonna be a kind of a stream. It's gonna be a stream. It's gonna be a long fucking ass video. Maybe a couple hours. I'm not sure. I don't say it's gonna be a couple hours, but okay, I'm gonna explain this first to you, so that you believe me. If you want, I can just pull them all off. Alright. There's 1, 2, 3. So I'm just gonna show you that I'm not lying to you, that you don't think, oh man, no, you should cheat. Look. 1, 2, 3, and on the other side it's the same. You can pull like that if you don't do that. And it's I can't show you this to the camera, but it's 2.5 kilo, 2.5. So it's 7.5 times 2. So 7.5 times 2. It makes it 15. But you have to actually include the bar itself, which is 2.5. Because if it would be 15, I would do my regular dumbbell, but that is lighter. You're actually pulling more, because the old school guys, which I did a lot, which I done a lot back in the day. They do 1 kilo, 1 kilo, and a 2.5, and a 2.5, and a 1 kilo, 1 kilo, and that's when you measure it all together. Don't bother me with the math, please. But when you measure it all together, it's exactly 15 kilo. Because back in the days, people so those damn 15s broke my back, or I got a hernia because of the damn 15s. That's why they always say 15s. You have this episode of Friends where Joey from Friends gets a hernia, and he also said it's a common term. But now they have, like, you can do whatever you want. So yeah, right. I'm just gonna begin. I hope I explained it to enough. It's gonna be a long ass video, because I've been doing this quite some time, and I can do this really long. I'm not sure how long. We're gonna see it. I'm gonna record it, and I'm gonna do it as long as possible. So yeah. I'm gonna do reps of 10. Minimum always is 10, 3 times, but I've been doing this for quite some time, so I think I did one day, a whole day, this, and I'm really rested now. So I know what you're gonna say, because when I quit after a couple of hours, and you say, no, you didn't do it. But I'm quite confident that, I don't want to sound too cocky, but I've been doing this quite some time, so I'm gonna do 10-10, but eventually I'm gonna do this arm 5 and this arm 10, because I had an injury a couple of years ago with this arm, and with this arm, and this arm is now injured. So I'm gonna do this time 10, this 10, but first I'm gonna finish them. So but I'm still recovering from that injury. I'm almost done with it. So I'm not sure, but I think this is the third time I've done this 10 times. I'm not counting anymore. It's gonna be a long ass while. You're gonna, yeah, it's like a stream almost. I hope my computer doesn't give up on it. Of my camera. Not sure, but I think I've done them. I'm gonna do them a couple of more times. And then I have done the bare minimum, and then I'm gonna go to this to 5 and this to 10. And then I'm gonna even it up. Just do the grinds. You have to do some breaks, because your body needs to rest from time to time. In a factory, what people do, they do this very light work, but they do it 40 hours a week, and they do it daily. In a factory, when you log cheese, you grab maybe 2 or 3 kilo of cheese, and you pick it up and you move it. And you're constantly on your legs, so you have to also have leg power. But mostly, you have to be strong in your arms, because it's a lot of standing still and moving things in a fast pace to another place. But you want to, I don't want to sound arrogant, but wait. There's just people in the factory. They have to check up on things. They have to make sure that the product is healthy or clean or safe, and they have to do that a couple of 100 or million times during the week or during their career. It's called checking the product. That's how I name it. But it's I worked at a cheese factory, and I worked at a pig factory, and they have to check up on the product. Okay, now I'm gonna do this 5 and this 10. So this arm I'm gonna do 10, and this arm I'm gonna do 5, because I have an injury, but don't worry about it. It's gonna take a long ass while. So you saying, oh, but you're doing this 5, this 10. You're gonna watch this quite some while if you want to. I'm not gonna disappoint you. It's gonna take quite some while to make me tired with this. But you have these people in factories. They do security check, or hygiene check, or safety check, or product check, and a lot of stuff that goes away. And people think, when you work in a factory, oh, that's the toughest job there is. It is. It is. You have construction and you have factory jobs, and it's a really tough job. But you also have people who make sure the product is good. And to be really honest, you don't do a lot when you do that stuff. I'm sure that if I continue this, if I keep this up, which I'm doing regularly, I can just rejoin the factory whenever I want. I know that. I just know that. But they don't let me because they want me 2 days and they want me unpaid, and they want to. There's a lot of facts. There's a lot of. It's not the heavy work. It's not the heavy work that is troublesome. It's the boss, it's the rules, it's the hygiene, or it's the policies. There's a lot of shit you have to deal with today if you want to be an employer, if you want to work at a company. I see those people at McDonald's working at Christmas night or Christmas Eve or Christmas and at New Year's. They're brutal on that, but it's not the hard work. It's the policies. It's the endless hours. It's the endless rules you have to apply to your work that makes it unbearable for many people. It's not the gains. It's not the gains that make it difficult. If it were the gains, then it would be piece of cake. I'll bet you that back in the day when World War II was over and the 50s and the 60s, jobs were so easy. They were begging for employers. The world was in ashes. They were begging for employers. Now you can get anyone you want. There's 1,000 losers for you. And a boss, he can get anyone he wants. He doesn't need to pay you. Employers, they're like dogs or horses, or I'll bet you can get them more. There was this article about Libya, the war zone country, and that they had to stop the African people from crossing to Europe, and the Libyan mercenaries did that. And you know what? How's his name? An African immigrant was worth $75 or euros or whatever. 75 euros. And I worked at a what's it named? Wait a minute. I worked at a farm, and they had this horse that was done. He had a sport career, and he had an injury on his ankle. And the slaughterhouse, he wanted to give 3,000 euros for the meat, not alive, not to be running and doing stuff, no, to be eaten. 3,000 euro. Can you imagine? Can you, the Bible says, you are a diamond in God's hand. You are a pearl in God's hand. You are $75 in today's human world. And those Africans, they endured the desert. They endured the Sahara. They endured endless torment and hell. And you put them here, and they can work, man. It may sound racist, but you know those Yankees and those Texas motherfuckers when Lincoln was building the railroads, and they had those Asians, doing the railroad, and they always said, you know what we need actually? We need some good niggers. We need some hardworking niggers. And to be honest, the African culture and the mentality, it's way beyond the Polish or the Russians or ours. And we Dutch, we are tall and we are big and we're strong, but Africans, man, they're insane. They're strong. They got that lion raw strength. Yeah, they didn't do porn like America and Russia and Europe, and they don't gamble or do crazy drugs like Chinese or Japanese. African, there's real insane strength, and when you open that up, you saw that in America. The best workers are not to endorse or promote slavery, but the best workers are still niggers. I'm not sure what the correct word is for black. Maybe black is the correct word, but yeah, niggers are the strongest, best workers. You have those Africans who are doing this dance, but they're jumping around like crazy. We have the Olympics, but you put such a voodoo dancer in the Olympics. It's like they're dwarfing us with their retarded voodoo dance. It's insane. And those people are $75. $75 for a human life. You can do whatever you want with it. It's insane, man. And I'm not sure what my point was, but human life, the value of the human life, and what I wanted to say is factory work. If you just do the hard labor, it's not the factory work that is difficult. It's the rules, the rules, the policies, the ass kissing to your boss. Some of you who work in factories might also be known to. You can't just say, I didn't feel like going to work. You're fired. All right, you fuck up. Yeah, you have to say, oh, I was sick, man, or my wife was pregnant, or my wife was sick, I had to take care of her, I had to take care of my mother when I'm a bastard, so I don't have a mother, but yeah, so yeah. You can't just say, oh, I didn't feel like going to work, or just shove it up your ass, boss, I don't feel like it. And it's, now you're not only fired, but you're also blacklisted if you say that. It's shit to your boss. I think it's true that if you kiss a lot of ass in your job, or you play the political game, you'll probably have a more successful career overall when you just work really hard. Yeah. I have a nephew. Yeah. And he went to school on my uncle's paycheck. And he works maybe an hour a month. An hour, 1 hour, or one day. Let's say he worked one day. One day with a couple of Red Bulls and his wife doing all the chores and all the work and all the food and bringing all the sandwiches and all the food he wants and all the fucking and everything, and just one day intensive concentration, and he gets $4,000 probably, or maybe even more, $4,000 a month, doing one day, using his head, using his HBO, his university head. Yeah? One day of using his university head. Yeah? And a couple of Red Bulls, and just good old, your relaxing music, and he's done. He gets $4,000. He has to attend to a couple of debates and talking and about how the business wants to do this, what the business wants on their site, and just one day of writing the website and putting it all together, and he's just done. He's done. He has to attend to a couple of meetings. He has to do a couple of conversations, do just a little bit of talking, and he's done. One day. The most people, they're busting their ass and they're sitting home and they're feeling sorry for themselves and for people around. Oh man, I'm unemployed and I'm taking from the government. But he does one day of work and he gets $4,000. Yeah? And he didn't do it himself. Yeah? It's his father that pays for the whole trip. People are always saying, "Oh man, I'm doing nothing. I'm worthless. I'm gonna jump in front of a train because I'm not contributing to society." When they worked in factories, or they worked in the army, or they worked in construction, and they broke their fucking back, and they're feeling sorry for themselves. They feel sorry for the people around them that are providing for them. When they have 40 years on their belt, 40 years of hard work and hard labor and tough hard work. Man, I've been in prisons that had more quality life than the average redneck on a construction. People they feel bad because they're unemployed and that they don't have a job, or that their bosses keep firing them because. Back in the days, you hear those stories where people worked 40 years for the boss. 40 years for a boss. And they continue to do so. And I had this pastor who said, I'm 40 years, I'm the pastor here. It's going to be my 50 years next Sunday. And people are, whoa, he's a real committed. But, you know, what people don't realize is, and I gotta give this to the top athletes. I'm not a top athlete. I'm not Rico Verhoeven. I'm not Badr Hari. I'm not a Ronaldo. I know. I'm not Bjorn Bjornsson. But those people, they deal with the toughest environments. They are pushing the limits, and not only the limits, but in today's soccer world and boxing, you have to deal with the press, you have to deal with your image, you have to deal with your religion, you have to deal with this, people have to check up on you because you might be cheating. There are so many rules. If you were Muhammad Ali in today's world, you probably wouldn't even succeed. Because Muhammad Ali, back in the 70s or 60s, he had to deal with this political agenda of the government. Yeah? And in today, they don't allow you to do that. They're not going to agree with that. not gonna. If you don't join the army now, they're just gonna put you in the prison. They don't fucking care anymore. Human life in today's world, it's worth nothing, man. If you don't cooperate with the government in today's world, you're in big trouble. So if Muhammad Ali would have said no to recruitment, man, they're ready to slaughter each other right now. So they're saying no, you're meat for the meat grinder. They don't give a shit about your political and your religious scruples anymore. Not like in the 70s or 60s, like with Muhammad Ali. And yeah, so they don't give a shit about you. You don't cooperate with the government or their agenda, you're gonna go to jail. And that's the same with jobs, and that's the same with everything. Times are tougher now, and it's like doing jobs. That's the Olympic sport. How many times, even Eminem sings about it, that you have this dishwasher who goes to boxing, who goes from dishwasher to boxing. I know why? Because that's how tough the working class is right now. They say it all the time. The working class is the backbone, it's the spine of our economy, and that's really true. Yeah, I'm beef. I'm strong. But I'm not even working. And when I'm working, I'm having the toughest time. I'm gonna do a parking lot soon, and it's gonna be a 1 day or 2 day job. Yeah, but times are tough, man. Times are tough, and people are tough. People always say, "Oh man, the youth of today." No, not the youth of today. The youth of today is tougher, way tougher than the youth back in the day, man. People in the 70s or 60s, there was Woodstock, there was drugs, and people didn't care. There was freedom. They had just World War II, so nobody was feeling angry. The Vietnam War, most people didn't even want to go to that war. Man, everybody was like, we need to get the hell out of there. But now, man, people are their own Terminators today. Everybody's like, we're gonna work. We gotta be like our previous generation. But they all built everything. Everything is built. Everything is up. Nothing is destroyed. At least not in the Western society. Yeah, maybe in Syria and in Africa, there's everything destroyed. But here in Europe and in America, yeah, some things are destroyed, like Chicago and Detroit, and a lot of things are broken in America. But it also creates a lot of jobs. That's why Trump is like, create a lot of jobs. People should be proud of what they've done, and he's kind of right in that way. But yeah, I don't want to talk too much about politics. But I'm just saying, you're tougher than you think you are. Just because people don't have a job, you don't have a job, I don't have a job, doesn't mean you can't work. It doesn't take strength or being tough to be successful at your job. There's a lot of rules, there's a lot of policies, there's a lot of political ass kissing. That is way more important than being strong. If it was just strong, man, I would have had already 10 years, a solid job. I would have had just a contract already. And it's also because I often sport a beard and I'm fat and I'm not like Beyonce pretty or something. That's very obvious, I think. So yeah, they have a line. Trump said it in the debate that there was some guy that didn't agree with him, and a day later he was fired. And he said it in a speech. You don't agree? You can go away anytime you want. I got an army of which I can choose. And so, I just want to say to the people who are unemployed and and watching my crap, you are a pearl in God's hand, but we live in a ruthless, cold-blooded society, and things have to be torn apart before they can get better, and that's probably soon gonna happen. I fear. Maybe I'm all paranoid. I'm maybe Nazi and shit. No, but look at man. Just that example, $75 for an African. And those are the toughest people around. $75. What do you think will happen? Huh? When some dictator gets shot? Huh? What do you think will happen? It's exactly like with World War I and World War II. If some little puppet like Putin or Xi Jinping or Trump or Angela Merkel or Macron falls, if some of those people die, you'll have World War III. Because they won't allow that to happen. They won't accept that. They won't agree with that. Alright, I'm gonna show let the workout speak for itself. So I'm gonna stop rambling for a while. So yeah. This what you see now, that's part of my daily grind, and this is what I often do every day. Occasionally I have days when I don't want to do this, when I just want to relax or sleep and do naps, or just do nothing. But this is pretty much what I daily do, and often I sit on that couch. Somebody's playing Call of Duty or Overwatch or League of Legends or whatever he wants to do, or GTA 5, and I'm doing this, and that's pretty much it. That's actually pretty much what I've been doing the past 7, 6, 5, 8 years. That's pretty much it. That's all my life. That's 8 years of my life. And you gotta ask, you're probably asking yourself, then, why are you such a fat fuck then? I live on my own. I was 24 when I came here, living on my own, and I didn't know how to cook. I didn't know how to clean myself. I was a child coming to my own, and the farm where they taught me about the adult world, because I'm a former orphan, so I didn't know anything. I didn't know anything about the world. I was living in a cage all my life. I'm blonde and I'm blue-eyed and I'm white, but not every white person is high class and rich. I had a rich family, but yeah, they sent me off to. If you want to compare my youth it's pretty much that of Tony Stark. I I had this computer generation. When I was a kid, ICT, internet, communication, and telephone, mobile devices, the computer, the PC. That was my generation. I remember that Windows 95 came out, and that my uncle brought a PC from home, from his work to home, and that was it. And we had the Nintendo 64, and we had the PC, and my oldest nephew, he made his job out of it, and my nephew made his job out of it, and the husband of my niece made his job out. I had a family that was all about the computer. But so just to sum it up, I don't want to tell my whole life story here. I've been avoiding that, and I'm gonna avoid that. But my youth, my life is pretty much similar to that of Tony Stark. I was raised pretty intelligent, but I was also raised cold-blooded. I love those series also. I love Tony Stark. He's an amazing actor, and Downey Jr. also an amazing actor. He's part of that whole Hollywood club, so yeah, that's pretty sad or disappointing. Or probably he has to do probably a lot of propaganda also. But he's an amazing actor, and he portrays his role. Tony Stark, Sherlock Holmes, really good. Yeah, there's a lot of Tony Starks in today's world, I think, because the PC, the computer generation. I'm not sure if PC is that word, but because there's a whole other term based on the word PC. But the computer generation, and that's a big thing. That's the real thing. There's a lot of people, a lot of guys in the 30s or 20s. That's been, I don't know, 30s and maybe 20s, but then they're higher 20s, and they're in their late 30s and their 40s. That's a big computer generation. A lot of guys being raised around that age with the computer. So I think there's a lot of Tony Starks in the world. That's why this movie was made. And that's why it's such a big hit, because there's a world of people like that, and those are good men. Those are good people. I am one of those. Yeah, intelligent, strong, and cold-blooded. Sadly, but yeah, cold-blooded. But people, they look at me and they see a dumb fat fuck, but I'm not just dumb. It's really hypocritical to say that I'm intelligent, but most of my friends, let's compare. Let's just yeah. If you see what kind of people I associate with, and you can look at my channel. I'm not the smartest beer person, but I'm not just a meathead. I'm not just a redneck. I was raised like a redneck, because in an orphanage and in juvenile detention, you don't find the smartest people often. You don't get in detention and in juvenile facilities for being smart. But I wasn't retarded. I wasn't retarded. People, they look at juveniles, and they look at prisons, and they look at facilities where they keep the unstable people. Which I was violent as a kid. But they look at them and they see, oh man, that's a retard because he's from there. But that's not true. I had the smartest people where I was great friends with. I have a friend who finished university. I wouldn't be friends with that guy if I wasn't smart. He's like insanely smart. I'm like Gandalf, and he's like Saruman. Yeah. So yeah, I wouldn't be smart if he was. I wouldn't be friends if I wasn't smart, because you gotta have something in common to be friends, I think. You can't be friends with people you have nothing in common with. Maybe you don't agree with that, but of course boobs and muscles and yeah, that's an approach. That's a early easy approach, but so yeah. I'm what makes Tony Stark or the Iron Man a great movie, because yeah, there's a lot of guys like me. Let's check up on the Lord. As you can see, this is my mouse. It's also my table, so I can't show you the whole movement, but it's there. You can see that I'm going to. I don't have an HD camera, sadly, and it's night. I love night. I'm a night person. Also see very good in the night, I think. I think I'm one of the few people who rather live at night than during the day. Usually I'm gonna do some bit of the shoulder push-ups, shoulder reps, so with the stang. But I don't want to move all the camera and do all the editing work, and I just want to keep it simple. So I'm just gonna do bicep curls, and I'll show you some other time the grind on the shoulder reps. That's how I call them today. And the problem is in my neighborhood. I live in my neighborhood is like a small Colombia. People use a lot of drugs here. I quit smoking a year ago because drugs in my neighborhood, drugs is like chips and cola, and it's like the easiest thing to get by. And I quit all that shit. But yeah, it did its damage. Yeah, I'm done with all that shit. But yeah, I did some damage. Yeah, but yeah. So that's why I'm heavy and I'm not like a ripped Ronaldo. It's like in my neighborhood, drugs is like the easiest thing to come by, and it's like it's free and it's cheap and it's everywhere and it's constantly around you. And you also have to like some advice if you go out partying or drinking booze or go out. Even when you're at familiar people, watch your glass. Watch your glass. Watch out when you drink. Take your glass to the bathroom when you go take a piss. Don't piss in it, but just be mindful of your glass. Refill it when you didn't keep your eye on it, because people there's a new hype in the world, and it was back in the day. It was also there, but doing drugs in people's drinks, that's like it's popular in today's world. And they didn't do it to me, luckily, but you gotta be mindful in my neighborhood for it. You gotta, when sometimes people have a bad mood, you gotta be careful. You gotta take care of your drink. You can't turn your back in my neighborhood. Let me say it like that. I always have this, back in my childhood, I always had to be violent, I always had to be aggressive, because I was constantly surrounded by fighters, and by aggressors, and by violent, just brain dead kids. I wasn't brain dead, but I was also aggressive. You had to be aggressive in my as a child, where I was raised in violent circumstances. I didn't choose for that. I didn't want that, but you had to be like that. It wasn't a choice. And here when you go in society, when you become an adult, all that stuff is pointless. It's useless, because you do one thing like that in the grown-up world, and they put you in cuffs and they put you in jail. They put you they put you for life away. When you are violent in society, it's game over straight away. And that's something the farm taught me. They did taught me that. Yeah, that's something I have to agree with them. They taught me to calm down and to not react in aggression. Because if you do that in society, if you do that as an adult, then it's game over straight away. But in my hood, you had a lot of people that are homeless or that live on the street, and you also have a lot of backstabbers and a lot of junkies. And just one advice, and then let me do a rep. Junkies, they can be the nicest people, they can be the sweetest people, but they don't fight with their fists. They often fight with knives or with bottles or with drugs in your drink. But you have some of the nicest junkies who are the nicest people, and they're just Jesus number 2 or Gandhi or whatever you want to call it. They're just some of the nicest people are junkies, but they're sometimes also the most dangerous, because you can be a big guy, but what you gonna do with a knife in your back or with a knife in your throat? You can be big as whatever you want, but if I cut the ankles of Rico Verhoeven or Anderson Silva or Muhammad Ali, he can be big as he wants, but without his ankles, he doesn't gonna do shit. And junkies, they don't fight you head to head. They don't come at no. They, I had the luck. I have a very strict rule on violence. I have a very strict rule on violence, and that is don't do it. Never do it. Even if someone hits you, I just love the Amish policy on that. And it helped me survive a couple of things in my hood. I live in a very dangerous neighborhood. And there's a lot of danger. There's no danger as long as you learn to take some small hits. If you learn to take some small hits, there's no violence. I'm big and I'm strong, and I never had to use my fist. I had one occasion where I had to push away someone, but actually never know. I never know. And yeah, but you have to train for that. You have to keep people believing that you're dangerous, which I am, but yeah, junkies can be very dangerous people. They're very nice people often, they're very friendly, they're very nice, but they can also be very dangerous. There's a whole different dynamic when it comes to meatheads and beefheads, like I used to be, like I was raised often at the orphanage and at juvenile detention. Beefy motherfuckers, beefy meatheads, they fight a whole different fight when you fight junkies. You will never see a meathead grabbing a bottle or grabbing a Heineken or grabbing an Amstel bottle and just, no, a meathead, but a junkie, you grab a knife, you grab a stick. That's the first reaction. That's the first thing a junkie does often, because they know from the inside that they're weak. And the first thing they often do is grab a knife. Yeah? It's like, you know that saying that don't bring a knife to a gunfight? Well, that's the same with fists. And that's my neighborhood, man. That's my neighborhood. It's like, don't bring your fist to a knife fight. You have to be careful with that. And you also have a lot of big families in my hood that when you run your mouth against them, you can get the whole family on your front door, and you don't want that. I'm a big man, but 10, 20, 5 people, I can't handle 5 or 10 people. I may be big, I may be strong, but 10 or 5, 50 or 20 people, no, man. Nobody's that big. I'm not Bruce Lee or something. I always say we have a very nice neighborhood. We don't have a fair neighborhood, though. Life is cruel. People, there's a friend of mine, and sometimes I give him pizza, and I'll order a bigger pizza for myself, and he always says to me, "Hey man, you took a bigger pizza," which I paid for the pizza, I paid for the dinner, and he says, "Hey, you have the bigger pizza," and I always say to him. And he says, that isn't fair. And I say, life isn't fair, dude. And that's how it is. That's how life is. That's how you see life. Life isn't fair, man. You don't get things by... I just want to say to Jenna Marbles, that's the most cruel thing she ever said. nice guys finish last. And that isn't true. It is true. If you want to be a nice guy, go ahead. But if you want to make it in life, I'm more and more I'm beginning to believe this. You got to be cruel. You got to be rough. And it's always the meatheads. It's always the bad boys, the bad guys, who get the girl. I have a whole different approach, of course, but yeah. You gotta be tough in life, but in my hood, you also gotta do no violence. You gotta be tough to your people. You gotta be, as a leader, you gotta be tough, and you gotta apply the rules to some, but also no violence. You gotta find the perfect balance in that. You gotta give them the emotion, give them the vibe that you're strong and that you dominate their situation, that you're in control. But you also gotta be friendly. You also gotta be generous. You also gotta be laid back. It's very important in my neighborhood. And then you can have a great time. You know, that friend who ate my pizza, I was at his Christmas dinner. He's a really nice guy. It's really great what he did. He invited me for Christmas. Nobody ever did that. I've been here 8 years or 7 years, and nobody ever here since I lived here has ever invited me for Christmas dinner. Nobody's ever done that. And because I'm a bastard, I don't have family to do that with. So that was really great. That was really nice. I just want to say thank you for that. It was the first Christmas I wasn't alone with some joint or some coke. It was pretty nice. Just pumping iron again. Oh man. Last year's, I was at the McDonald's, and I know what you're gonna see. We get people in Syria and people in Africa that are starving, but I know that's all really sad. But I just want to say, there's a lot of people in my country. I wasn't alone there. Let me say that I wasn't alone there. There were a couple of people, and you could see on their faces that, oh my God, I'm at the McDonald's during Christmas. And they were open. That's also the crazy thing. They were open during Christmas. And you know how I know that? Because I was at the McDonald's during Christmas. Because the supermarkets were closed. Yeah, you gotta eat at the McDonald's because the supermarkets were closed. I'm not saying God, His birth is costing me money, but I'm really grateful for that. I don't want to do blasphemy. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm really thankful for God. I think He provided a lot in my life. I'm alive, I think, during it. But aside from that, man, Christmas is a fucked up time nowadays. And this year, I was eating at someone's house. And now it's at the McDonald's for the third or second time. People are always like, oh, there's people in Syria. Look how cruel and tough their life is. That's true. That's very, very true. It's all really sad. But there's a lot of hardship in Europe and America too. Like, take for example Detroit and Chicago. We all know from YouTube how life is there. That isn't easy too. And I know, yeah, there are war zones, yes, but yeah, we live in a strange world nowadays. My neighbor woman, her husband is dead, and she has an welfare for widows. But she goes to work. She goes to work and she works and she works and she works every day. It's going to be in like 7 hours or in like 6 hours. She's going to go to work again. Because but I have more. It's just amazing, man. Her husband died 3 months or 6 months ago, and she's been working her ass off since. And it's like, why do you do it, man? Why didn't you just go home and lay on your bed and when she wants to forget it. She wants to not think about that. And I totally agree with her. That's the beauty of living alone and with my complication, I don't feel lost overall. I have some friends who are gone now, who I'm not friends with anymore. I never really sorrow. I never felt any sorrow. I never felt much sorrow losing them. It's like that's the cold-blooded side of me. That's what when you're parentless, you learn to abandon people. That's something I really learned. I'm not attached to anything or anyone. And I can say this with sure. I can say this with 100% guarantee. I'm not attached to anything or anyone. I think I'm attached to God, but God isn't a certainty. It's belief. Belief is a whole different concept. You don't see this on my YouTube videos. I often don't upload it, but I've been doing this for like 8-7 years, and that's why you see this meditation music on the background, because I've been doing this so long. It's not. I don't need jacked up music anymore to pump iron. It's like it's a lifestyle now. Playing video games, eating pasta, playing video games, eating pasta, doing smoking. I don't smoke anymore, but playing video games, eating pasta, pumping iron, walking, biking. I've just been around my whole town 100, maybe 1,000 times. The endless driving with my bike. I got one time someone recognized me from social media. Hey, you're that guy. but I'm not around during the day often. But the whole summer I was on my bike. see if there's some food. So, here we go again. But in a job, and that's where my point is. I made a long ass video about this, but now I'm coming to the point. In a job, you do light work, and you do it a whole day. But you take breaks also. You don't just the whole fucking day without a single moment of breathing. But I'm lifting 15 kilo here, huh? And I do it a couple of hundred times during the day. And that's why I know, because when somebody wants me for a factory, I've been saying that also, but the issue isn't with strength. The issue is with you gotta kiss ass. You gotta commit to some rules and to some policies. You can't just it's not just strength. It's not, and I don't. And to be honest, I don't have a lot of condition, a lot of endurance. I get tired very easily, very quick. But there's a difference between cardio and strong and strength. And I don't have much condition. I can do this very long, but the job force, the middle class, it's a tough place to be. And even the lower class working at the moment is just, there's a lot of factories, there's a lot of facts, there's a lot of things that are really difficult to handle. We live in a tough economy, but my country, the Netherlands, we are economically stable, luckily. We made some tough choices, and I gotta give our president this. We are economically, we are stable at this moment. We're not like Italy or Spain or Greece. We're not like broke to the bone. We're yeah. There's some Dutch people in my country that have a tough life or they're homeless. Yes, that's true. But we are pretty wealthy here. We're pretty rich here. And I gotta give our president this, yeah. Most people, they have a home. They have kids, they have food, they have a roof over their head. They have food every day. We're also a country of drugs. Yeah, that's our country, sadly. But we're like the Colombia of Europe, or the Mexico of Europe. But we're also one of the richest countries on the planet, and we're also the tallest people on the planet. So, yeah. Polish people are harder workers than us, but they're also a lot dumber than us. And we have an education and technology system that actually provides for most of our economy. Oh, that's not true. There's the gas and the Rotterdam. That's trading with China and America, so there's that. But we also have a lot of innovation. Which pays a lot of our bills. Yeah. Generally, I'll do a round in my hood. I'll take a walk and I come back and I go back to pumping. But I have to manage to stream, so yeah. A couple of years ago, a friend of mine, he said, I want to get out of here, I want to be something, I want to be somebody. And years ago, I told him this, and he didn't believe me. He didn't want to believe me. He thought I was stupid and I was dumb. He changed his belief now. He doesn't think I'm stupid. I said to him, you're going to be stuck in this situation living at your mom's house for a very, very long time. You're going to have to get used to that. We live in a time where you gotta dig in. You gotta dig in. That's the time that a lot of Dutch people are living. We're digging in and we're managing our money. And we're trying to hold on. We're trying to... If I had one thing I could say to the president, don't throw cuts at people who enjoy a welfare check, because there's not a lot of things we can take anymore. People who are unemployed for a long time, they can't take much more anymore. We are the Dutch people, my country, we're how do I say this? We had a lot of financial cuts on our financial situation, and there's not a lot we can take anymore. I had to my relationship with a lot of people is like Chandler, Joey. If I knew this years ago what I had to spend on my friends, I might have dropped them years ago. There was this woman, and she helped me with some stuff, with financial and house cleaning and stuff. And she said to me when she saw one of my friends, you gotta drop him, and you gotta don't spend anything on him. Don't do anything for that guy. And I end up spending a whole lot of dimes on that guy. And there's times when I think she was right. I was stupid. And it was saying this evening, there was this guy, the same friend of mine, not him, not that guy that I spent a whole lot of time, but this friend of mine, he said, you can't do that. It doesn't work. And I tried it anyway. And I spent the whole evening trying it anyway. And that's the same actually with this guy actually. I have spent a whole lot of money keeping him afloat. And I had a whole lot of fun with him. I had a whole lot of good times with that guy. But there's times when he's rough on the edges and he's giving me shit. I'm like, why did I ever help you? And it's like that's our country, man. We gotta dig in. We gotta hold on. We gotta hold on. And I think we gotta hold on to our morals and to our to our good nature. didn't do that, there's so many people who would have fallen. So many people who would be homeless right now if I didn't help them. If I didn't help them. I've been throwing it away, I always say. I've been throwing it away. My uncle, he always said this mean thing to me. When I said, I read the Bible, I'm a good person. And he just threw it straight at my face. What good did you do? Huh? What good did you do lately? And I'm not fast when it comes to quick responses to someone's questions. But my uncle was a sadist, and he deserves to go to hell. He was the cold-blooded father of Tony Stark. The same goes for my uncle. I hated that guy, and I still hate him. I'm not sure why Tony Stark avenged his father when it comes to what's his name? I don't know. The Russian Captain Russia. We all know that it's Captain Russia. We all know that. He has a different name, the Winter Soldier, but we all know it's Captain Russia and Captain America there. You have Captain Russia, which is the man with the iron arm, and you have Captain America. And I always say America because Americans do everything for oil and their fries. Gluttonous warmongerings. Oh man. Well, when you're at a job, you're doing this 8 hours, but a lot lighter. And also with breaks, but you do it 8 hours, and I'm not doing this 8 hours. I'm not doing this 8 hours, but yeah, I'm doing this 15 kilos. 15 kilos. I'm not doing this with packs of cheese or whatever you want to call it. And yes, you have guys who move pallets, but you can count them. You can count them. I've been doing this 15 kilos, count to 15 kilos. And I know that nigger is watching. How many pallets do you move a day? Huh? How many pallets do you move a day? So, I'll bet I'll weigh way more pallets than you do. Oh, man. But you had to make that filthy joke against me. Huh? You had to make that filthy joke. And I was okay with the cigarettes and with the joke years ago. But you had to do that filthy joke. So why? Why would I let you chill there, huh? I know he's gonna watch it. And I'll just say, why did you have to do that filthy joke, huh? My head is saying, don't do it, man. Don't give that guy a second chance. And it's with a lot of things, though. Now that I'm in the adult society, when you can't use violence as an answer, I have grown accustomed to a lot of spitting, to a lot of people are throwing dirt at me and just the spitting with words, the spitting with words. It's like when I was in an orphanage and juvenile detention, that was non-existent. Non-existent. When you come in adult society, spitting with words is like second nature. No, it's the basic nature. People do it all the time. They do it constantly. It's like our primal instinct that has evolved. And really, we have evolutionized. We have evolved. We have changed. We're not the caveman. That caveman is dead and gone. Huh? There's no caveman in the European or the American anymore. There's no caveman. We don't have ribs all anymore. Not even as a child. Some of us are born with bellies. Yeah, we're born with bellies. Yeah, born fat. I'm not born fat, but if I can show you pictures where I'm thin and ripped, but I'm not ripped. I don't have a six pack, but I'm thin. But the caveman is dead and gone, man. When you are an adult, you need to grow accustomed. I at least did, because I was raised in a very primal, aggressive childhood. There was a lot of fighting. It was in America they call the public schools, the public school system. There's a lot of fighting, and there's not a lot of education, and that was the same with me. And in America they call it juvenile detention. And in Netherlands you have juvenile detentions, but you have it your entire childhood. Your entire childhood can be of juvenile detention. And that was my childhood. And let me do a rap. But in today's society, flaming is part of flaming, toxic behavior, toxic talk, verbal abuse, if I'm correct. It's part of being adult. Saying shit, talking shit. That's a good term. Talking shit is like. It's part of being an adult. It's like lying. Huh? You gotta talk shit if you want to survive in the adult world. It's almost like necessary. It's like good therapy. And you gotta talk shit occasionally. Yeah? You can't just ignore it all. You can't just take it all in. You gotta talk shit from time to time. And that's what I needed to learn when I came here. Because in my neighborhood, in my town, in my country, people are talking shit all the time. They do it on social media, they do it on YouTube, they do it on Twitter, they do it in your face. Dutch people are really direct and honest overall. They're not like the French or the Belgians or the Belgians. I've been a couple of times in Belgium. And in France, people are way more polite there. They're not friendly or whatever, what you want to name, but they're way more polite in the first meeting. They're like friendly, but yeah, they're a whole different. There's a whole different culture. We Dutch people were direct. We're straight to your face. We don't give a shit about you often, and we're straight to your face. We tell it how it is often. Yeah. I think honesty is a good trait the Dutch have overall. We are pretty honest. We're pretty ruthless and pretty cunning and pretty deviant also, but we're also pretty honest. Yeah, and we're pretty cold-blooded overall. There's not, you have in Belgium and in French, you have this sweet, or like the Italian, they're like this tiny puppet, like this tiny people. The Italians are really tiny, and they're like this cute people, and we don't have those kind of people here actually. There's not a lot of cuteness in the Netherlands. There's big boobs and blonde girls. Oh, those are really cute, but there's not a lot of cute, if you know what I mean. There's a lot of big tits and blonde hair, but there's not a lot of no. But talking shit, that's really important when you become an adult. And when you're fat and a man and unemployed, you get a lot of shit. You get a lot of shit. You have to enjoy it actually. It's like some sort of abuse you have to enjoy. I get a lot of shit, and you have to get used to it. You have to embrace it. And that's what I like about Tyrion Lannister. He had this amazing quote that never forget what you are, because no one else will. People, they have this image of themselves, and they tend to forget what they really are. They delude themselves sometimes. And as a fat bastard, I never delude myself, because I always know what I really am, because people always remind me of it. So yeah, you have to as an adult, you have to grow accustomed to talking shit. That's one trait I really have. I don't delude myself, because people always do a reality check from daily. I always meet people daily. You fat fuck. You always say that to me. Most people in my country, they don't care about politeness or And most people know that there's old cameras everywhere, so they know they can say everything to your face. You can't do shit about it. That's just something. Oh man, I had to struggle with that really much when I came here early on. Like, I knew I was one of the toughest people in this town, but I had to learn that there was big families, and that there was cameras and all that shit, and that you can't just punch somebody in the face if you don't agree with them. And the farm where they learned me about adult life, I understand some of the things they did. They did a lot of things for money also, but some of the things I do understand, and I'm thankful for them also. Yeah. They often said to me, you pull that shit in society, in the adult world, and it's over. Just like that. Only back to square one. Kids and teenagers and a lot of people that are still a child, they don't understand when you, as an adult, as in an adult world, you do one crazy thing and it's over. I have a friend, and the same guy who was playing a game this night and telling me that I didn't need to be so stubborn. He's right, but he's still a kid. And he doesn't understand a thing about being an adult. He's really smart, but he's also a kid, and it's good that he's a kid. There's not a lot of kids. I don't like hanging out with adults. I like kids, or people who have a child in them. He's 28, but he still lives with his mom, so he doesn't understand a thing about being an adult, and that's not bad. It's not bad, but yeah, like cooking and cleaning and all that shit and finances and just being a responsible adult. That's something he doesn't understand two things about it. And people, they can sue you. They can put you in a prison because they just don't like you. And there's a lot of unfairness in the adult world. That you as a child, you think your life is difficult already, but then you become an adult and you learn that the world is much more complicated than you thought it was as a child. And as a child, I had a difficult life, a really difficult life. So, in a kind of a way, I was in luck, because I already had a lot of reality checks as a child. I already was confronted with struggle as a child. So when I became an adult, sometimes I realized that God, or whatever you want to call it, spared me from a lot of difficulty. Because if I hadn't endured so much struggle and so much hardship as a child, I would have made a ton of mistakes. I see those rich kids, those rich Christian kids. They become 18, and they become 20. They come into their adult life, and they expect so many things that are not usually to be expected. That are not. That's not. You shouldn't expect it as a normal human being. And they make so many big mistakes. So many big mistakes. Yeah. Which I don't. I made some mistakes when I was here, but also protected myself from a lot of things, which they don't. They make a lot of mistakes because they were raised in this safe environment. Daddy and mommy, they were always with their big wings above them, like, I will catch you if you fall. But they dropped me a lot of times. I learned from that. I still make a lot of mistakes, like giving money to people who use drugs. That's a big mistake. Yeah, I know. Yeah. But I think I believe that also, that back in the 60s and 50s and 70s, life was a whole lot more simple, probably. And things weren't so complicated and so difficult as they were today. Like if you put an employer working for a boss, that's like an athlete back in the days. You have to endure so much hardship as an employer. So it's not crazy that it's not weird weird that a lot of people are unemployed and that they're unfit to be in the working class when they're and I'm really strong, but I believe that I'm unfit to be in the working class because it takes a lot of hardship, which not a lot of people nowadays can endure, and for good reason. It's not just physical strength. It's also, there's a lot of things. It's also mentally. I have this friend. I used to have this. I'm not sure about that. He's a selfish prick nowadays, but he was a good friend. He was the best friend I ever had, I think. And he was this former military dude, and now he works at a. He's doing that already quite some time. He's a car mechanic. Is he? And I can call him right now, and he will tell me he doesn't like me, but he knows I'm stronger than him. But he works a 60, 70 hour week. 70 hours, 60 hours, maybe 50 or 40, but 70, 60 hours a week he works. But if I'm calling him right now, and he may be commenting on this clip, he will tell you that I'm stronger than him. But he works 40 hours, 60 hours a week. But as I said, working, it's not about just strength. It's not about physical strength. There's a whole lot more. And he doesn't do very smart work. He just he works cars, and you begin with changing tires, which is pretty rough, but it's not. I can call him right now, and he will tell you that I'm stronger. But I'm not fit to be in the working class. I have this day and night rhythm, and I tried. I really did. I went to the factory and went to a whole lot of things, and I tried. But there's a friend of mine. He's unemployed, but he didn't try. And now he's sad because the welfare institution, they cut him. And that's something I gotta give the government also, because you can maybe be unemployed, you can maybe be unsuccessful in your career, but you gotta try if you wanna live in our country as a wealthy human being. And we live in a pretty wealthy country, and we have a lot of things that in a lot of countries they don't. But you gotta earn it. And to be honest, I don't want to sound arrogant, but I did earn it. I tried, and I'm still doing it. I'm working for the church. I'm building a parking lot in a couple of weeks, in a couple of days. And they say to me, but you work for the church. Why don't they pay you? They pay me with a lot of things, man. I tell them. But they are not really religious. But I don't care about religion. I'm caring about doing something for society, doing something, being a good person. And yes, I'm a believer, but I'm also a person that's things that from first you see and then you believe. But it's a whole difficult thing. I don't like religion. I don't like to talk about it. I've learned to hate people from a very young age, and that's what made me a non-believer. And when I came to this town, they have managed to repair that a whole lot. But as a child, I was even vengeful to Christians. But I'm not anymore, and I'm working for the church right now. earning my stripes. And that's something, yeah, some people don't understand why the government is so cruel on them. Because I was raised by the government. I'm a state property. I'm a state product. I was raised by them. If you want to call somebody my father, the president is my father. He decides the policies on those juvenile detentions. So I understand the government probably better than most people. But I'm taking them serious, yeah. Because they have a lot of information, yeah. It's like, they said this at school with me. They had these old men who were giving us education about new things, about computers. And it was like, yeah, man, I can cheat my way through it. And I said, no, man, they're pretty smart. They're not the smartest, but they're pretty smart. And that's the same thing with the government. They're not really stupid, man. They're pretty smart. juice in my arms. not sure if I can do this longer, I think, but kind of done. Yeah, let's see how it progresses. Let's take a break. That was the loop that was over. I've been doing this for 2 hours at least, I think. I'm not sure, but alright, normally I go take a walk and then walk some more and then walk some more until I can do some more reps. But I have to maintain the stream. I can't just go away and come back. That's weird. But I'm not Quentin Tarantino. I don't. Maybe sometime. Maybe some other time. But now I'm gonna try some more. But I think I'm pushing it right now. But we'll see. But I think I'm done for the day, at least. I'm not saying anything, but I think I'm done. I'm not sure. You have to keep the breaks longer if you want to maintain it now. But you can maintain it for really long if you just keep the brakes longer. And that's how a job is also. And you can stretch it. The human condition can endure a really much. There was a time when I was 18. I was 18. And that was the toughest year of my life. I was working at a pig factory during the day. And in the night, when I came home, I had to clean. I had to clean the house where I was living. I was living in this adoption house, and during the day I was in the pig factory. I came home 4 o'clock in the midday, 4 o'clock, and then I had to clean the house because I had to pay tribute to where I was sleeping and eating. And from 4 to 5 or 6, I was cleaning. I was doing the dishes, and I was cleaning and whatever they asked of me. And then I had this adoption house. They had their own restaurant, and I had to do the dishes and do the salads and do the cold dishes there, and I had to do the dishes, cleaning plates, and I had to work at the restaurant, whatever they told me. I had to work at a restaurant, so I had you can say it, I was 24/7. I was working. I was even at Christmas and New Year's Eve. I was working. I was working around the clock, day and night, 24/7. I had maybe 2 or 3 or 4 hours of sleep. That was the toughest year of my life when I was at that adoption home. During the day I was at a pig factory, then I came home, I had to clean the house, and then I had to work at the restaurant. In restaurant you work at maybe until 10 or maybe 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock in the night, and then I had to sleep, and I have to do it all over again at 6 or 7 o'clock in the morning. It was insane, man. It was insane. And when the year was almost over in September or October, I was at this friend who was working at the restaurant too, and I was chilling at his place. And I was doing. That was the first time I did weed, but I knew it was bad. I knew it was. I was endangering my situation, but I was done. I was done, man. A year long of non-stop working. And I was so indoctrinated with religion at that time that I had to go to church at Sunday. It was insane, man. I wouldn't do it now. But I went to church, and I couldn't. It was physically impossible to keep my eyes open. But I went there. At 9 o'clock, I went to the church and I just slept the whole session. I was going to the bathroom because people were telling me, "You're sleeping, dude. You have to be awake during the mess." And I was going to the bathroom, was slapping my face and throwing water in my face. And then I came back and I just slept the whole. I just slept during the whole the sabbatical. Yeah, that was the toughest year of my life. That's why I learned, there was nothing that could beat me when it comes to working. But yeah, then I went to the farm, and they had to destroy a lot of that aggression and energy I had way too much energy and I had way too much aggression because I didn't learn at that adoption house anything. I just worked until I did weed and I went into complete psychosis. And the adoption house said, no, you fuck off because we can't have people that do drugs. I was working a whole year long, and it was crazy. That's something also with those athletes you see. They work and they work and they work and they train and they train, and then they do weed or then they do cocaine or then they do heroin. You know, and it isn't bad in their case. You know why? Because they were working all year long. And then they gotta relax, and they get disqualified because they want to relax. Because when you relax, you grab a cup of tea, you grab some piece of pie. But with top athletes, it's way different, man. Because they can't relax. They have been training and training and training, and they need drugs to be able to relax. They got so much tension in their body. And when I that was the finest weed I ever had, man. And yeah, I know I'm telling you, drugs is bad. I'm 100% for that. Drugs is bad, but when you look at those top athletes when they do drugs, it's not about getting high. It's about being able to relax. They're burned out already, but they're just done with it, and that's why they often do drugs, because you got to be able to relax. And they're not physically and mentally capable of doing that. And I was at that time when I was a whole year working straight on. I was at that same moment. There was I had a body when I left there. I swear I had the body of an athlete. I really had easily, way bigger. I see those athletes today. It's like, are you just kissing ass, or did you do actually some of the work, or did you just get a steroid shot and be done with it? It was insane, man. We had this when I was at the farm at the beginning. We would play Twister, and you had to. When you play Twister, you have to keep your hands and your legs a really long time up. And those girls, and there were there were so many girls at that farm. Oh my God damn, man. There were so many girls at that farm. And they were playing, and there was a lot of feminism also at that farm. And they wanted to beat me. They wanted to beat me at my own game, but they couldn't. I could lay there with my arm in push-up position the whole time, and it wouldn't do anything. But they had this rule eventually that you couldn't sit down, that you had to stay up. You couldn't just sit down, and because you have to keep your hands and feet on the collars. I could just stay like this and keep my back straight the whole time. There was nothing they could have done. I could have done that. I could have done that a day long. Yeah. There's not much left of that condition anymore, but yeah. It was an amazing time. If I knew what I could have done, if I only knew how much ass I could have gotten, but I was so indoctrinated with religion. I'll tell you, some things are really bad about religion. And that is absolutely bad, because I could have so much ass. They were throwing at me. They were throwing themselves at me. I didn't have a clue. I was so. When it comes to women, man, I'm so dumb. I'm more than brain dead. I'm just. It's actually the little bit of brains on that part that do a whole lot of damage. If I were just brain dead, I would have more chance than use a little bit of my brains. Because if I were just totally brain, I would just come. But I was so indoctrinated with religion and virginity and stuff that eventually I did it, of course. But it would throw. I was 18 years of not touching a girl, so and almost not seeing a girl. The orphanages and juvenile detentions, not to be discriminated, but they're not a place for a girl or a woman. Girls that get adopted, or the girls that are there, man, they had it tougher than us. But there's not a whole lot of girls in juvenile detention. Girls are smarter, or they're cuter, and they get adopted by parents. When you have adoption parents, they always want a cute kid, and girls are cute. So yeah, girls always get adopted. It's like your ticket to heaven in juvenile detention. But boys, yeah, juvenile detention and orphanages, they're a place for boys. Not to be discriminating, but yeah, that's how it is. Man, at that farm, I learned about girls, man. I learned about girls. It was nice. It was really nice. But I felt like when you watch porn and you see those guys who've been working all their lives at factories and they're done with the factory work and you have a couple of those actors and you know that they're just beef because they've been working at a factory all their life, and then they say, "Fuck it, I'm 40 years old. Let's live." And then they go fuck a lot, and they get into porn. But that was the farm for me, man. There was so much ass there. Oh my god, it was a blessing. It really was. Oh my god. But I was luck. I had so much luck that girls they're really smarter than men. They really are. They're really way, especially socially. They're so much smarter. Like my niece told me this. I was asking about advice to pick up girls, and I said, what's smart advice? Can you give me some honest family advice? And she said to me, don't pick up girls. Girls pick you up. It's dating is like she told me that dating for girls is so easy. It's like for a guy picking up a cigarettes from the gas station. Is that difficult for a guy? Because guys, I don't know, it's difficult. And that's how it is for girls. And they go to a bar and they say, you come with me. And that's how it is for girls. It's like picking up cigarettes from a gas station. That's how picking up a guy is. And that's how picking up cigarettes from a gas station, that's how girls pick up guys. That was her advice. And she was a girl and she had game, and so I took that advice, and I still believe that's probably true. And those kind of girls were at the farm. It was amazing, man. I had so much luck because of that. And I was totally ripped, which is probably also I was like Garrett Butler after doing 300. Yeah, that was really true. I was Garrett Butler after doing 300. I was totally ripped. I was beef. I was ripped. I would start my day with 50 push-ups, and I would go to sleep. But before I go to sleep, I do 50 push-ups, and I would do I would do booze all day long. I didn't care. It didn't affect me for years. And I would still smoke. It didn't affect me, man. It didn't affect me at all. It was like, smoking isn't bad. If you eat 20 bananas or 20 apples, what do you think that does to your health? Or 20 cigarettes do to your health? Smoking is way more healthy than bananas or apples or veggies. You try doing 20 bananas or 20 apples and see what that does to your health. That's the kind of logic thinking I had back in the day. Yeah. I have to be honest. I was kind of thick in the head back in the day. Yeah. But when it comes to computers, I was always smart. And when it comes to playing chess or aggression, psychology, when it comes to to aggressive, I had to deal with a lot of aggression as a kid, and I wasn't the toughest. I wasn't the real meathead, the real motherfucker, the real lion. I was more of a wolf or a bear or an elephant. You had these lions, this kids on the orphanage and the juvenile detention who had their fathers drinking booze and whip them with belts. Those kind of kids, they were always the toughest. Who would go to kickbox because they needed to unleash their aggression. And they needed some place to do that. I was never those kind of boys. I was right under that. I was like, you had the Jamie Lannisters, and I was more of the Ned Starks. They knew they had a big. They knew I was tough, but they knew they were stronger. I had to fight a lot of Jamie Lannisters back in my day. I was always the Ned Stark. I was tough. I was tougher than most kids, and I was way tougher than the kids at my church who enjoyed just normal, regular lives. I was way tougher than them. But there was always in juvenile detention. There were always in orphanage. There were always these kids, these Lannisters, these lions, and I was always the wolf. I was always the Ned Stark and the Jon Snow. I was never the Lannister or the Jamie Lannister or the Mountain. I was more the Hound or Jon Snow or Ned Stark. I was all you have the toughest. You have the toughest, and then you have me right under it. I was, yeah. Alright, it's getting kind of boring. I'm kind of done for today. There's a couple of more reps. And done. Alright. I'm telling you, I can keep this up for very long, but I'm done for today. I can do this way more long. I can just lie down and I can do this really long, but yeah, I'm done for today, I think. So now you kind of understand. Maybe I'll do a longer video next time, but now you have a clue of what I daily do. So all those people who say, yeah, you gotta do 40, you gotta do way more less, now you get the picture. Maybe I can do a way more longer video. I can just go shit and do way more reps, but I'm kind of done for today. I'm not sure though. Oh fuck, I can do this really long, but I'm not sure if you want to see this, doing me endless grinding. I can do this really long. I'm not sure if you want to watch this, doing me endless grinding. I can do breaks. It's like working in a factory. That's the same thing actually. And because I often have people coming over who want to watch rap music or do video games, it's more enjoyable. But now I'm alone and feeling a little bit self-conscious. Yeah, eventually, yeah, but I can do this really long, man. I had this friend over some time ago, and it's go way longer than this. I eat chicken, I throw pizza, I watch a series, and then, yeah, I do this daily, and I do this a whole day often. But yeah, with way more breaks and going to the supermarket, grabbing chicken and grabbing beers, and then coming home and and then before he comes, and then after he goes a little bit more, and then and sometimes even during the night when some other guy comes over and he's smoking and playing Call of Duty, and then or playing Overwatch, as you see. I can do this way longer, but yeah, I want to do something else. Not sure though. Maybe I should prove my point a little bit more. But I'm not the only one that is able to do that. I see guys at the gym. I saw guys at the gym, they do this also. They're meatheads at the gym, they do way more and way tougher than me. And they do this all day. And then there's the next day when they actually go to work. And those guys, they are at the factory. And that is the working class. One day they're at the gym, and the next day they're at the factory or at construction, and that is insane, man. I gotta be honest, man. I'm not capable of doing that. And that's the working class which I'm capable for. Because the problem is that I have brains. You gotta be totally strong. You gotta be brain dead, and you gotta be insane strong. And that's the kind of guys that here are in construction or at the factories. They're good guys, they're nice guys, they're tough guys, they're way tougher than me, but they're also brain dead, and they're also they're all their talents are in their strength, and that's a good thing because they wouldn't be able to work at those factories. But yeah, it's so, man, eventually you get sick of it. But those guys, oh man, they love it. It's their life. It's their fulfillment. They love pumping iron. It's like their Disneyland. Pumping iron, it's their life. You want to play video games all day long? They want to pump iron all day long. And I've been raised with those kind of guys. And I am one of those guys, but I'm also a gamer. I'm the all-round kind of person. I make League of Legends montages, but I also pump iron. But I'm not really good at computers. I'm not really good at pumping iron. I'm the most diverse person you'll ever meet. Yeah. I'm an all-round kind of guy. I know I got a lot of tricks. I got a lot of traits. I'm good at a lot of things. I'm also bad at a lot of things, but I'm also good at a lot of things. But I'm not talented at a lot of things. I don't specialize in one certain thing. But believe me, I can do this all day long. But I'm not sure if anyone is going to watch this hours long. It's kind of boring. Sometimes at the night I'm pumping all night, and then it's 3, but in about 3 hours or 4 hours, my neighbor is gonna go to work, and often I'm still awake, and I see her leave, and I say, hey, goodbye, go to work, happy working, and that's how long I pump iron. It's now 2:27. It's not even close to what I usually do. I usually do this all night. And at 7 o'clock I see her leave, I see her go to work, and I wave her goodbye, and then I'm going to the supermarket and I eat and I drink, and then I go to sleep. That's how fucked up my life right now is. That's also why I'm not capable of joining the workforce, because right now I'm awake, and every person that goes to work is now asleep. Only security and night shift people. But I'd rather be unemployed than working night shifts, man. Oh my God. That's real hell. It's like, I watch these documentaries about prisons, but people always forget about the security that works there. They're like almost having the same life as those inmates. So yeah, this is gonna be it. I'm not sure that I want to prove my point, but I think I just did. I can do this all fucking day, man, but I gotta be careful that I don't wake my neighbor up. still go to work in a couple hours. And those weights, you don't hear it, but they make a lot of sounds. So, I'm not sure, but not sure. Let's see. Alright. Alright, this is gonna be it. I can do this all day, but I'm done. I hope you enjoyed. You have a great day. And to the people who are gonna wake up in a couple hours, God bless you. And God bless you all, people. Yeah. I'll see you around. Thank you for watching.